My name is Cindy Lewis. Welcome to Fact Friday. I am a part-time employee at the Federation. I work primarily to support the Parent Training and Information Center. I'm looking at my own face. I wish I was looking at yours. I am tired of looking at my face on a screen, especially at my age, but here we go. So today I'm going to talk for a few minutes. Oops, I'm going to start a timer so I don't talk for too long. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about a roadmap essentially for being an empowered parent of a child with special needs. I should say in advance that I have a couple of caveats. One is that it's a long and bumpy road. And secondly, that there are no guarantees. So even the most prepared, empowered, knowledgeable, active parent can hit obstacles and frustrations, and it's just a part of the process. So that should be the expectation. But that said, I think the best plans, plan with a capital P, not just the IEP, but the overall plan for your child is going to be better if you're a parent who is empowered. So let's talk about what that might mean and what the components would be. The first one I think is knowledge. Knowledge of special education laws and regulations, knowledge of key concepts in special education law, such as FAPE, effective progress, least restrictive environment, stay put. So I'm not going to go into what all these mean, of course, but if you're able in an IEP meeting to articulate concerns about concepts, then I think the team is more likely to pay attention to what you're saying. Knowledge about dispute resolution options. What are your options when things don't go as hoped? Your informal options, your formal options, and knowledge about resources. So this knowledge piece is a core component of the Federation's mission, and we'll talk a little bit more about some Federation resources. And at some point they'll be put in the comment section, but not until afterwards. Okay, so there's the knowledge piece, coming up that learning curve. It's a long road sometimes, and it's confusing and it can be overwhelming, but knowledge is important. So what also is important is this idea of building your team. So you're not in this all alone, but you think about sort of operating within a team. So who's on your team? Hopefully you have one or more members of your actual IEP team that you feel are with you, are looking out for your child's needs, are working hard to meet those needs. It's not always the case that you feel that anybody on the team is sort of on your side, and that's unfortunate when that happens. So who else? Who are your peeps? So I think that CPACs, Special Ed Parent Advisory Committees, are like a hub of local leadership. You find similarly situated parents in your district. By engaging with your CPAC, you don't just exchange information, I think, you don't just exchange information, but you also find ways to advocate vis-a-vis the district together. So strength in numbers. If you look back at history, all important changes in special education law have happened because people, parents, providers came together and pushed the system for change. So listservs also often have, CPACs also often have listservs that they run that can be a great place for networking and just for asking questions and trying to find people who have resources or information that you may be searching for. So this idea of team building is a main theme of, there's a parent leadership series, I think Department of Public Health has one, Mass Families Organizing for Change has one of these family leadership series programs. I don't know when they run, might be worth looking into them. But their key theme, one of their key themes, is this idea of change happening when people come together and team building, and that being a very core concept of effective advocacy for you as an individual or for a broader group. So, okay, moving on. Another component, and I'm not going to talk extensively about this, but I think it's essential to mention, is communication and documentation. So effective communication is key. You would sometimes, as parents, you may presume that the school is going to communicate with you effectively. It does not always happen. So you may have to play a role in setting up that communication system with the school and writing, so that there aren't these disconnects that often happen when communication is poor. You should always feel comfortable communicating your concerns in writing to your team. You should stick to the facts. You should persevere when you're not getting responses, and on also escalating concerns when appropriate, when you hit those roadblocks. In terms of documentation, I believe in documenting everything. So I often talk to parents who explain to me that there's been this back and forth with various members of their district. And if I called this person, they called me back, we discussed this, but none of that back and forth has been documented. So really important, even if you have an oral conversation, to follow it up with something in writing. You want to create that paper trail. Similarly, I generally recommend that parents have some kind of system, a log or some kind of system for keeping track of concerns, of incidents, of, lack of progress. You can create a Google spreadsheet if that works for you. Some parents just like to have a calendar for a child or their children, and they'll just write things on the calendar, but try to write it in real time as opposed to trying to recreate over time. Because when you can bring something that's been documented in real time to an IEP meeting, and there are questions, or perhaps the team is pushing back saying this didn't happen or that didn't happen, you have your notes and you can say, these are contemporaneous notes. I took all of these notes at the time that the incident happened or the behavior occurred or whatever. So I also, even if you're not good at organizing binders, have a binder or some way to keep all of the information together. My binders are generally organized at the beginning, and then everything's stuck in the little pockets over time, but at least I have everything in one place. So think about binders. And let's see, I guess my last component, I see that I've been on for about 8.5 minutes. I want to stick to 10 here. My last component would be this idea of always working toward a plan with a capital P, sort of an overall support plan, of which the IEP is probably the most important piece, but that also includes outside resources and activities. I think parents can be a lot less worried when there is a plan in place. You can't do everything, but if you have a plan in place, I think you can feel good that there's a plan in place that is targeted to support your kid. It's not a static plan. You need to monitor the plan over time. We all know that kids change, situations change, teachers change. So don't sit back too long once you have your plan in place thinking you can kind of relax. Don't relax for too long. Relax a little bit. By the way, the plan should also be a plan for self-care for you as parents. We all know about the airline masks. You know, you need to feel good about yourself and regulated yourself. So please remember to take care of yourselves too. That's an important part of everything. So I'm finally going to wrap up by saying a few things about the Federation resources. You know, the Parent Training and Information Center is absolutely committed to that knowledge piece. And of course, so let me just say that. I'm going to try to end quickly here. In terms of team building, MassPAC, led by Leslie, Family Ties, which is an amazing project in the organization that is basically throughout the state. Mass Family Voices, Healthcare Access, our Link Center, All About Transition. The RTSC project supports surrogate parents, but is also an excellent resource for information about trauma. So with that, I will say have a good weekend, everybody. Sorry if I started talking too fast at the end. I was running out of time. I'll see you next time. Bye.